Hello, welcome back to our VirtualBox tutorial series. This is the final lesson in our series introducing VirtualBox, an open source, free software that allows users to create and manage virtual machines. In this fourth lesson, we will dive into key features such as snapshots, cloning virtual machines, removing machines, and adjusting the general settings to optimize your virtual environment. In the first lesson, we covered the basics of virtualization, including how it works and how to download and install VirtualBox. The second lesson focused on creating your first virtual machine, as well as configuring essential settings like memory, storage, and networking. In the third lesson, we explored more advanced VirtualBox features, such as virtual machine configuration options and startup modes. Let's get started. The settings that can be accessed by right-clicking on the virtual machine or by selecting it and using the machine menu are available. The first option here is Settings, which allows you to open the settings window discussed in detail in the previous section. For more details on this section and to learn how to customize these settings, you can refer to our previous lesson. The second option is the Clone option. This option allows you to create an exact copy of an existing virtual machine. This process copies the original virtual machine settings, disk, and all its data to a new virtual machine. Cloning is useful for duplicating a virtual machine or reusing it in a different environment. New machine name and path. Here you assign a new name to the cloned virtual machine and specify the directory where its files will be saved. This option ensures the cloned virtual machine has a unique name and is stored under a specific path. You should use a different name to distinguish it from the original virtual machine. Full clone copies the entire original virtual machine including disks. This creates a fully independent copy of the original, with no connections or dependencies remaining. Linked clone creates a copy that references the original virtual machine's disk. This uses less disk space since the new virtual machine shares data with the original one. However, if the original virtual machine or its disks are deleted, the linked clone will no longer work because it depends on the same disk. Snapshots. This option determines whether the snapshots of the original virtual machine will be copied during the cloning process. If snapshots are included, the cloned virtual machine will have the same snapshots as the original. If snapshots are excluded, only the current state of the virtual machine is cloned. Since the virtual machine I want to clone doesn't currently have any snapshots, this option is inactive. After the clone section, we will examine the snapshot section in order to better understand the snapshot and clone logic. The MAC address policy option determines how the MAC addresses of the cloned virtual machine's network adapters are handled. This is important for network configuration and avoiding conflicts. Include all network adapter MAC addresses, copies the MAC addresses of all network adapters from the original virtual machine to the clone. This may cause network conflicts, as two virtual machines with the same MAC address cannot operate on the same network. Include only NAT network adapter MAC addresses, copies only the MAC addresses of network adapters in NAT mode. For other network modes, new MAC addresses are generated. This is ideal for cloning without disrupting the NAT network and avoiding network conflicts. Generate new MAC addresses for all network adapters. Generates new unique MAC addresses for all network adapters. This option prevents network conflicts entirely and ensures the cloned machine operates as an independent entity. It is recommended when the clone needs to function separately from the original. Keep disk names retains the names of the virtual disk files from the original machine. Once I click Finish, the cloning process will begin and will be completed shortly. When the cloning process is completed, the cloned machine will appear in your list. We'll explore the concept of a snapshot in VirtualBox. Although cloning and snapshots are similar concepts, they are distinct in their functions. Let's take a quick look at the options available in the snapshot section of VirtualBox. This option takes a snapshot of the virtual machine's current state. The snapshot records the system state, programs, and settings at that moment. You can easily identify a snapshot by assigning it a unique name. In the name field, enter a meaningful title that helps you recognize the snapshot's purpose or state. This makes it easier to manage and identify snapshots later, especially when you have multiple snapshots for the same virtual machine. Delete. This option allows you to delete an existing snapshot. Deleting the snapshot only removes the snapshot. It does not affect the virtual machine. Restore. This option restores the virtual machine to the selected snapshot. In other words, it reverts the virtual machine to the state it was in at the time the snapshot was taken, undoing any changes made since then. When you switch to a snapshot, the name of the snapshot is written in parentheses in the section where you display the name of your virtual machine. Properties. This option shows detailed information about the selected snapshot. From here, you can modify the snapshot's name, description. This allows snapshots taken at different times to be organized and identified by changing the name or adding descriptions. Clone. This option creates a copy of the current snapshot as an independent virtual machine. I explained the details of this feature in the previous section. The Snapshots feature allows you to take a backup of the current state of your virtual machine. This saves an exact snapshot of the virtual machine at that moment, making it easy to quickly revert to the previous state before making any changes in the future. This captures the entire current state of the virtual machine, including the operating system, settings, and files, allowing you to revert to it before any changes are made. Snapshots are useful for testing system changes. If you encounter any issues, you can easily return to the previous state. Current state refers to the active state of the virtual machine at that moment. In other words, it represents the virtual machine's current condition, whether it is running, open, or powered off, along with all its settings and data. It is very important to have a good understanding of how to use snapshots. Additionally, the snapshot and clone states are quite different from each other. The difference between a snapshot and a clone is that one takes a snapshot of the current state of the virtual machine, while the other creates an exact copy of that virtual machine. I will explain the snapshots and clone options with an example to better understand them. Let's say you install a program named A on your Windows 11 virtual machine and create a snapshot with the name A. After that, you install a program named B on the virtual machine and save a snapshot with the name B. In the B snapshot, both A and B programs are installed, and the current state is B. Later, you revert to the A snapshot, install a program named C, and save this snapshot as C. At this point, the current state is C. If you go back to the A snapshot, you won't see B or C because those programs are not installed in this snapshot. At this point, you install a program called D and take a new snapshot, naming it D to reflect the change. Later, you decide to revert your virtual machine to an earlier snapshot labeled B. From this state, you install another program called E and create a new snapshot, naming it E. This process allows you to create a branching history of your virtual machine states, making it easier to test different setups or configurations without losing progress or interfering with previous states. The snapshot structure in VirtualBox is more like a tree rather than a simple timeline. This tree-like structure allows you to manage multiple development paths or configurations of your virtual machine, offering more flexibility than a linear timeline. It's especially useful for experimenting with different scenarios while preserving the ability to go back to any previous state. Cloning a virtual machine creates an exact copy of it. If you choose to clone the machine with its snapshots, the entire tree structure, including all snapshots, will be transferred to the new virtual machine. If snapshots are not included in the cloning process, the machine in its current state, e.g. E state, will be cloned. In this case, snapshots such as A, B, C, or D will not be accessible in the cloned machine. A snapshot only records the changes made to the current state of the virtual machine, which means it uses less storage space. However, if many snapshots are taken, the storage requirement can increase. A clone, on the other hand, creates an exact copy of the virtual machine, storing all of the original machine's files independently, which requires more storage space. In other words, snapshots use storage more efficiently, while clones take up more space. That's it for our explanation of the difference between cloning and snapshots. I hope this cleared things up and made the concepts easier to understand. Let's continue examining the remaining features via VirtualBox. The Move option in VirtualBox lets you easily transfer a virtual machine's files to another folder or drive, ensuring all configurations are correctly relocated without manual effort, making it convenient for organizing storage or transferring data. The Export to OCI option in VirtualBox allows a virtual machine to be moved to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, where it runs as a compute instance using the cloud's resources instead of the local computer's memory, storage, or processor, with a fee for the service. The Remove option in VirtualBox allows you to remove a virtual machine from the main screen. There are two sub-options. Delete all files completely deletes the virtual machine and all associated files, making the data unrecoverable, while Remove Only removes the virtual machine from the list but keeps the disk files and other data intact, allowing for future use in another VirtualBox environment. The Move to Group feature, which appears when you right-click on a virtual machine in VirtualBox, allows you to group virtual machines with similar characteristics. For example, you can create separate groups for Linux and Windows virtual machines. This grouping is especially helpful for organizing virtual machines by type, operating system, or project. In VirtualBox, the options pause, reset, and stop allow you to control the operating status of a virtual machine. Pause temporarily halts the virtual machine without shutting it down, saving the current state so it can be resumed later. Reset restarts the virtual machine, closing all programs and possibly causing loss of unsaved data. Stop immediately powers off the virtual machine, similar to turning off a real computer, which may also result in the loss of unsaved data. It's generally better to shut down the virtual machine properly rather than using the stop option. The Show in Explorer option that appears when you right-click on a virtual machine in VirtualBox allows you to open the file location of the virtual machine. The Create shortcut on desktop option that appears when you right-click on a virtual machine in VirtualBox creates a shortcut for the selected virtual machine and places this shortcut on the desktop. In addition to the actions available by right-clicking on a virtual machine, you can also access some options by clicking the button next to the virtual machine's name. The Details section is the default area displayed. Here, you can view information about the virtual machine's settings. By clicking on it, you can quickly modify the relevant settings. The Log section in VirtualBox contains a log file that records error messages, warnings, notifications, and the virtual machine's process history, helping to monitor its performance and detect issues. The Save option allows exporting the log for later analysis or support. The Find option helps search for specific words or phrases. And the Filter option enables filtering the log to display only the required messages, such as errors or informational content. The Activity section allows you to monitor your virtual machine's performance and provides information on various resource usage. It includes indicators for CPU load, which tracks processor usage, RAM usage, showing how much memory is being utilized, network rate, reflecting the speed and traffic of the VM's network connection, and disk I/O, which displays the read and write speeds of the VM's disk. These indicators help assess resource efficiency and identify performance issues. The File Manager section provides easy access to the file system of a virtual machine in VirtualBox. This section is used to browse, manage, and modify the files within the virtual machine. Without running the virtual machine, you can access its file system and copy, move, or delete the necessary files. Its usage varies depending on the operating system. It is not yet available in Windows 11 operating system. We have reviewed all settings related to the virtual machine. The next section is the Tools section. You can access the options displayed here by right-clicking as well as by clicking on the File menu. The Preferences section is used to configure the general application settings in VirtualBox. Here, you can access various settings that determine how the VirtualBox application operates. Default Machine Folder. This setting specifies the folder where new virtual machines will be saved by default when you create them. The VRDP Authentication Library option allows you to select the authentication library for VirtualBox Remote Desktop Protocol (VRDP) connections, enabling remote access to your virtual machine. These options let you configure the keyboard shortcuts that will be used in the VirtualBox main window. This section is where you can define shortcuts for frequently used VirtualBox features. Update section. This section allows you to set the frequency for checking updates for your VirtualBox application. You can also use the Check for Updates option in the File menu for an immediate check. Language section allows you to configure the language settings for your VirtualBox application. The Display section manages the display settings for virtual machines in VirtualBox. This section is used to customize screen resolution, graphical features, and viewing performance for virtual machines. Maximum guest screen size and other options allow you to customize the display features and screen sizes of virtual machines. Automatic. This option automatically adjusts the virtual machine's screen size to fit the physical screen on which it is running. None. This option prevents the virtual machine's screen size from being automatically adjusted. Hint: this option allows the virtual machine's screen size to be adjusted based on the current screen resolution of the system. When you select this option, the fields for entering width and height values become active. Scale factor. This option allows you to scale the virtual machine's screen size. Font scaling option allows you to change the font size inside the virtual machine. The Raise Window under Mouse Pointer option automatically brings the virtual machine window to the front whenever the mouse pointer hovers over it, regardless of other open windows. The Disable Host Screensaver option prevents the host system's screensaver from activating while the virtual machine is running, ensuring an uninterrupted experience. The Proxy section lets you configure how it connects to the internet, offering options to auto-detect the host's proxy settings, connect directly without a proxy, or manually set up a proxy by specifying the server address, port, and authentication details. The color theme option allows you to change the overall color scheme of the VirtualBox user interface. This gives you the ability to customize the visual experience to suit your preferences. The extensions section is where you manage additional functionality and features for your virtual machine provided by extensions. Currently, only an extension created by Oracle is available, and its installation was covered earlier in our training. The media section is used to manage media files such as ISO files, virtual disks, etc., to be used in virtual machines. In this section, you can add, remove, or configure disk or other media sources for your virtual machines. We have reviewed the process of adding and creating media in the virtual machine settings section. The adding process in this section is the same as what is done there. The network section in VirtualBox manages virtual machine connections with various configurations, including host-only network, which enables communication only between the virtual machine and the host, and NATI network, which allows internet access for the virtual machine while blocking external access for security. We have changed this in detail in our previous section. The Cloud section in VirtualBox enables integration with cloud services like Oracle Cloud and AWS, allowing users to upload, manage, and deploy virtual machines in the cloud, typically as a paid feature. The Activities section in VirtualBox provides an overview of processes and resource usage across all virtual machines, including metrics like memory and CPU usage, allowing users to monitor and manage multiple virtual machines efficiently. This is especially useful when managing several virtual machines at once, giving you quick insights into their resource consumption and overall activity. Now that you understand the VirtualBox interface settings, let's turn our attention to the options you can use when running a virtual machine. There are two panels where you can adjust certain settings while the virtual machine is running. Both have the same function. You can view one in full screen mode and the other in windowed mode. You can change your preferences for running your virtual machine in the Preferences section. At the beginning of this video, we explained in detail the settings you can make in this window. The Reset All Warnings option is used to clear all warning messages. This option removes the warnings displayed in the VirtualBox interface, especially those shown during critical actions like shutting down the virtual machine or other important operations. Shortcuts are defined for frequently used actions. Using shortcut keys is one of the most effective ways to save time and increase productivity when using a computer. In VirtualBox, the host key is used to release the mouse and keyboard control from the virtual machine and return it to the host operating system. The host key differs depending on the operating system. For Windows users, it is set to the right control key. For Mac users, it is the left command key. And for Linux users, it is also the right control key. These keys make it easy to switch from the virtual machine window back to the host operating system. In VirtualBox, there are three main shutdown options. Save the machine state, which saves the current state of the virtual machine and allows you to resume exactly from where you left off. Send the shutdown signal, which sends a proper shutdown signal to the operating system, ensuring that all data is safely saved before the virtual machine shuts down. And power off the machine, which abruptly powers off the virtual machine, simulating a power cut, potentially causing data loss or damage. The choice of which option to use depends on the virtual machine's current state and how safely you want to shut it down. For a virtual machine started in headless or detachable mode, an additional option called Continue Running in the Background becomes available. This option allows you to close the virtual machine's graphical user interface, GUI, without shutting down or stopping the machine itself, so it continues running in the background. There is a Settings option in the machine menu. We have discussed the window you view by selecting this option in detail in our previous lesson. Another option is the Take Snapshot feature, which we discussed in detail in this lesson. Through this menu, you can easily take a snapshot while your virtual machine is running. During the snapshot process, the virtual machine will pause and remain in pause mode. Once the snapshot is taken, you can continue using the virtual machine as normal. The Session Information option in VirtualBox provides detailed information about the current virtual machine session. It gives you insights into the virtual machine's operational status, the resources being used, and other technical data related to the session. In this menu, you'll also find options like File Manager and Show Log. We discussed the details of this window in our previous lesson. The pause, reset, and ACPI shutdown options in VirtualBox offer different functions for managing a virtual machine. The pause option instantly halts the virtual machine, temporarily stopping all processes to free up resources, allowing you to resume from where you left off. The reset option immediately restarts the virtual machine, similar to pressing the reset button on a physical computer, causing all open applications to close and the operating system to reset. ACPI shutdown sends a proper shutdown signal to the virtual machine, prompting the operating system to save open files and close all processes safely before turning off the machine. These options are used in various scenarios to manage the virtual machine and ensure its smooth operation. The options under the View menu allow you to manage the display and interaction settings of the virtual machine. For example, Full Screen Mode lets you view the virtual machine in full screen where it occupies the entire screen, hiding the host operating system's desktop and taskbar. To exit Full Screen Mode, simply press the Host key plus F combination. When full screen mode is activated, the virtual machine takes over the entire display, hiding the interface of the host operating system. However, for user convenience, a thin strip containing the menu bar remains visible at the bottom of the screen. You can exit full screen mode using this menu. Seamless mode allows applications running in a virtual machine to appear directly on the host operating system's desktop, as if they were native applications. The virtual machine's desktop background disappears, leaving only the application windows visible, creating a more integrated user experience. To enable seamless mode, guest additions must be installed. To exit this mode, you typically use the Host key plus L shortcut. Scaled mode adjusts the virtual machine's display to fit the size of the window by scaling its content up or down, while keeping the screen resolution fixed. Although this makes the content fit the window, it may affect image quality. To exit scaled mode, you can typically use the Host key plus C shortcut. Adjust window size automatically adjusts the screen resolution of the virtual machine to match the size of its window. This feature works effectively when guest additions is installed. Take screenshot captures a snapshot of the virtual machine's screen and saves it to a specified location. This feature is useful for documenting processes or actions performed within the virtual machine. Recording starts or stops video recording of the virtual machine. This feature is used to capture a video of the actions performed within the virtual machine. The video format and other settings can be configured through the Preferences menu. If video recording has started, you can view it from the Get Your Virtual Machine section. I end the recording by clicking the same option again. The menu bar and status bar are essential tools that manage the display and interaction features of a virtual machine. VirtualBox allows you to customize the content of these bars, enabling you to choose or hide which items appear on the menu and status bars through the View menu. By disabling unnecessary options, you can display only the information and tools you need, making the user experience more efficient. We also discussed these customization options in our previous lesson. A virtual screen allows you to set the size and resolution of a virtual machine's display. This enables you to fix the screen resolution to a specific value beyond just adjusting the window size. These resolution options are useful for making the virtual machine's screen more user-friendly or achieving the required screen size for a specific environment. The keyboard settings in the keyboard section of the input menu allow you to define keyboard shortcuts. These settings help you configure custom keyboard shortcuts that can be used within the virtual machine. The soft keyboard provides a virtual keyboard that can be controlled either by touching the screen or using the mouse, instead of a physical keyboard. This option is typically used on devices with touchscreens or in situations where using a physical keyboard is not possible. The 6 shortcut commands found under the keyboard section in the input menu of VirtualBox, including Insert, Ctrl, Alt, Del, allow you to perform specific tasks quickly within the virtual machine. The Insert, Ctrl, Alt, Del command simulates the Ctrl, Alt, Del combination within the virtual machine, which is commonly used on Windows operating systems to open the task manager or access the login screen. On a physical computer, the Ctrl Alt plus Del keys are typically captured by the host operating system, but in VirtualBox you can use this shortcut to send the combination to the virtual machine instead. Mouse integration in VirtualBox is a feature that allows seamless movement of the mouse between the virtual machine and the host operating system. When enabled, you can move the mouse freely in and out of the virtual machine without pressing any buttons. However, when mouse integration is disabled, the mouse becomes captured inside the virtual machine when you move it into the VM window, and you must use the host key, usually the right control key, to release the mouse and exit the virtual machine window. This requires extra steps to switch the mouse between the virtual machine and the host operating system. In the previous settings section, we discussed options like optical drives, audio, network, and USB found under the devices menu in detail. In this section, you can access these features more easily. Optical drives enables you to configure the virtual machine's CD/DVD drive used for installing a virtual operating system or loading an ISO file. You can mount an ISO file to the virtual machine through optical drives. The audio menu allows you to manage sound output and input, configuring integration with sound devices such as sound cards and microphones, adjusting volume levels, and selecting the appropriate sound driver for output. The network option lets you manage the virtual machine's network connections, allowing you to add a network adapter, choose the network type, and configure internet or local network connections. The USB section in VirtualBox allows you to manage devices that will be connected to the virtual machine. In this section, you can configure which USB drivers the virtual machine will support and specify which types of USB devices can be connected, including options like USB 2.0 or 3.0. You can also view the list of currently connected USB devices to manage or connect them. If you connect a USB device to the virtual machine, its connection to the host computer is severed and it becomes accessible only through the virtual machine, allowing it to be controlled by the virtual system. If you want to remove the device from the virtual machine, it will be reconnected to the host computer, becoming controlled only by the host again. This feature is especially useful when transferring and managing physical USB devices within the virtual environment. The Share Folders feature is an important tool that facilitates file sharing between the virtual machine and the host computer. As we covered in detail in our previous video, this feature allows a folder connected to the virtual machine to also be accessible from the host system. I won't go into the specifics of this feature again, as we already explained it in the previous video. The shared clipboard and drag and drop are two useful features in VirtualBox that facilitate data sharing between the virtual machine and the host system. Shared clipboard allows access to the clipboard between the virtual machine and the host, enabling copy and paste operations for text, files, or any data copied to the clipboard. This means you can copy something on the host and paste it into the virtual machine, or vice versa. Drag and drop, on the other hand, enables you to easily transfer files and folders between the virtual machine and the host by simply dragging and dropping them. This feature also supports transferring text and other content. To effectively use these features, you must choose one of the following options: disable, host to guest, guest to host, or bidirectional. These settings make data sharing between the virtual machine and the host faster and more efficient. You can watch the previous video to learn the details. The Insert Guest Additions CD image option in VirtualBox is used to install the VirtualBox Guest Additions software on your virtual machine. This software package contains tools and drivers that enhance the virtual machine's performance and improve its integration with the host computer. You can learn how to install it by watching the first lesson video. And that brings us to the end of our VirtualBox series. We've explored everything from the basics of virtualization to creating and managing virtual machines, configuring settings, and diving into advanced features like snapshots, cloning, and optimization techniques. I hope you found these lessons informative and helpful as you continue your journey with virtual environments. If you missed any part of the series or need a refresher, don't hesitate to revisit the lessons. And of course, feel free to ask any questions or share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for following along, and best of luck as you use VirtualBox to enhance your virtualized experience. Stay tuned for more tutorials in the future. Thanks for watching.